हेलो फ्रेंड्स, संध्या दिस साइड योर कम्युनिकेशन इन्फ्लुएंसर। पर आज मैं आपके साथ एक बड़ी डिफरेंट कंसेप्ट के साथ आई हूँ। आज मैं आपके साथ एक कोर्स मटेरियल डिस्कस करूँगी जो कि इग्नू एमए साइकोलॉजी सेकेंड ईयर का है। एक्चुअली सेकेंड ईयर इज़ ऑल अबाउट स्पेशलाइजेशन इन इग्नू। सो ग्रुप सी जो कि बहुत मैंने काफ़ी सर्च किया यूट्यूब पे, जो कि मुझे नहीं मिला इसका मटेरियल। तो इसीलिए मैंने सोचा मैं स्टूडेंट्स के बेनिफिट के लिए लेट मी हैव अ रन थ्रू ऑफ द एंटायर कोर्स मटेरियल ऑफ 31, 32 एंड 33 of MA Psychology Part 2. So since the exams are approaching very soon, so let us start with it. So I am going to run through the syllabus. अभी हम ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल बिहेवियर पे बात करेंगे। तो अब पहला हमारा है ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल साइकोलॉजी। सो लेट अस रन थ्रू की ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल साइकोलॉजी में कौन कौन से टॉपिक्स विच वी आर गोइंग टू टच, राइट। सो द फर्स्ट वन इज in organizational behavior group C MPCE 031. we have the we have the introduction of organizational psychology, organizational behavior, definition and importance, fundamental concept on organizational behavior, different modes of organizational behavior, autocratic, custodial, supportive, and collegial, etc. So, friends, let's start with block one. So, the block one is it talks about the introduction of organizational psychology. Introduction, objectives, what is an organization, and various metaphors used for organizational साइकोलॉजी में किस तरीके से हम ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को किन किन मेटाफर्स के साथ कनेक्ट कर सकते हैं, एज इन मशीन्स, ऑर्गेनिजम्स, ब्रेन, कल्चर, पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम, साइकिक प्रेजेंस, flux and transformation, instruments of domination. Also, then what is organizational psychology? Then organizational psychology and organization behavior, how are they connected? Scope of organizational psychology, which has work motivation, job satisfaction, leadership, group behavior, work stress, organizational culture and development, productive and counterproductive behavior, work life balance. So friends, let's start with the first topic of the introduction. अब थोड़ा बहुत आपको you will have to bear with it because I'm running you through the entire material, so there can be slight camera हिल सकता है, so please bear with me. So organization is an important part of the daily life, which we all know, and we all know what organizations are in terms that even a government in an organization, non-governmental organizations are the political parties are there also organizations. Then you have religious organizations, educational, military, health, and even our family is an organization and a group of people, social groups, colleges, all of them are organizations. So I'm sure you must have understood what an organization is all about, right. Now we go on to the next page, wherein it talks about the in past century, why the in the past century, like there has been a phenomenal rise in the number of size, diversity and complexity of the organizations. So given the growth of these organizations and the pervasiveness of the organization in our lives, so it is not surprising that the psychologists have devoted a great deal of effort in understanding what an organization is. Now this all started that in the 20th century. So before we get on to it, so the major objectives of what we are going to understand in this unit is that we will describe the major characteristics of an organization. We will critically examine the metaphors for conceptualization of an organization, describe the field of organizational psychology, explain the stages of organization psychology, differentiate between organization psychology and organization behavior. So first of all, we need to understand what is an organization. So organization is a consciously coordinated social unit composed of two or more people that function on a relatively continuous basis to achieve a common goal or a set of goals. This was given by Robbins. So this means that there are a number of people associated who come together for a purpose and then they try to work upon it. So first we need to understand there are 5 features which have been describing the organization, and they have been given by Rawlinson and Broadfield. First is organizations are artifacts. So we all know that organization is formed by a group of conscious human beings. So definitely it is not a natural entity. So it has been brought into existence by human being, hence an artifact. It is goal directed. You get a number of people who are working with you for a particular goal, and they come up with a sense of some purpose, and they are, however, this does not mean that everyone in the organization has a common goal. No, but there are few people who work on it. Then you have it's a social entity, definitely yes, because it is composed of two or more people, so it is definitely involving lots of people in that. Then it's a structured activity. Yes, it is a structured activity because you have a goal identified to it, and there are identifiable parts and of the activities in the organization. Then there are nominal boundaries. So now nominal boundaries means that every system has, and every department is compartmentalized. So, and in that they identify nominal boundaries for an organization. So this refers to the consensus regarding who or what is a part of an organization. So probably an organization is an open system wherein you have lots of things to work upon. Then there's an activity which you can probably go through. Then we come on to organizational metaphors. Now what we first we need to understand what is a metaphor. So metaphor is something which there's one metaphor means it has lots of different meanings attached to one word, and you can easily identify those particular meanings with that particular word. So out here we are talking in terms of an organization. So when we talk about the organization, it is something like the definition of an organization we have seen. Then a significant and useful approach has been provided by Morgan. So Morgan plays a very critical role. So if we are writing an answer, we need to mention about Morgan. So the different metaphors which have been given is he draws attention to those features of the organization that the user of the metaphor considers to be most important. So we can say that we have an understanding of a many-sided character of an organizational life, which was through the uh, through Morgan, right? So when we talk about organization as machines, now what do you mean by organization as machines? What do you understand by the term machines? So machines per se, if we talk, it is something to it is constructed to do something which is very specific in that it maintains an orderly relationship between between clearly defined parts. So same way the organization also works, where every activity is linked to a particular goal by clear lines of communication, coordination, and control. So metaphor is useful under conditions where machine works well, when the environment is stable and protected, and there is a relatively straightforward, and when precision is vital. So probably if you see an example of McDonald's, where you have such a mechanistic approach that things are automatically defined, and but then there are certain weaknesses also. We can say that organizations have great difficulties in adapting to change and can result in mindless bureaucracy. That means it's a kind of a herd mentality where things keep on moving. So another problem is that it relates to the human consequences. So what do you understand by the term human consequences? So it is like as merely components, that human beings are merely components of the total machine, molding them to fit into any kind of requirement of the organization without using their brain. So this is to so this can bring this can have dehumanizing effects upon employees, especially those in the lower level wherein they have no role to play. So such a metaphor also tends to ignore the complexity and diversity of the motives of the behavior in which it has to function. Then we come on to the organization as organism. So what do you understand by the term organism? So organism is something, if you understand what is organism, organism is of a biological analogy, and secondly, it is it is in sharp contrast to the mechanistic machine metaphor. So that means it has living entities. So organization obviously has human beings which are living entities, and these are all related to, they are constantly adapting themselves to the appropriate dynamic relationship with the environment. So the organism metaphor also accepts that all the part of the organizations are interconnected and have to function in a way that contributes to the whole, implicitly recognizing humans as an important organizational component. So open system also implies that an effective organization is open to influence infinite possibilities. So when we talk about infinite possibilities, that means it should be considered with the with achieving good fits among the subsystems, right? So varied and creative approaches to the management are also essential. So the primary strength of this metaphor called organism is means that means it shifts and focus from things to people in a means to sustainable quality improvement. The biggest weakness lies in the analogy itself, that is organizational shape and structure is actually more it is more fragile and dynamic than the structure of the living organism. So in the previous one where it mentioned it as a machine, that means that it was more on the mechanical side, as in the structures, it was fit system. Out here it was dealing about the with the human being. Then when they talk about the brain, organizations as brain. So brain is what? Is an inventive and rational and operates in a manner that provides flexibility and creativity. So if you see, there is a gradual evolution of things from a mechanistic approach to a biological approach to a brain to an approach which has a logical and an inventive way of thinking. So it handles two men two and organizations have a structure which are imposed on in a form of organizational charts. So this is a literature wherein you can get the information of processing, then cybernetics and self-correcting systems are there, and the organization's learning also there, which compares the organizations to holograms systems where qualities of the things are folded. So he lists four principles. Now who lists four principles is Morgan. Again, when we're talking about the organizational psychology, it is Morgan about whom we are talking about. So first he says is functional redundancy. Now what do you understand by functional redundancy? First we need to understand the meaning of this word. So it's a kind of an excess capacity, not by adding spare parts, and by adding extra functions to each of the operating parts. That means he has not given too much focus on the spare parts, but then if he has a space, then in that he has increased the functions so that he creates a room for innovation and development to occur. Then you come on to the requisite variety. So requisite variety is the diversity. Variety, when we talk about variety, that means lots of things in that. Requisite is something which is very much important. So internal diversity of any kind of self-regulation system must match to the complexity of the environment and its supposed creativity, right? Then minimum specifications. कैपेसिटी के अलावा कुछ स्पेसिफाइड चीज़ें होनी चाहिए, जैसे हर ड्राइंग की एक अपनी स्पेसिफिकेशन होती, हर पर्टिकुलर चीज़ की स्पेसिफिकेशन होती. सो व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट द मिनिमम स्पेसिफिकेशन, इट इवॉल्व सिस्टम्स that give freedom to evolve, possess a certain degree of space. That every, like suppose if you have a if you have a motor part, it is always designed and it has a specified way, so it has a minimum specification which is needed to work. Then it builds the whole into all parts. Brain क्या करता है? हमारा brain करता है सारी चीज़ों को. The entire body functioning is about what? It's about the brain. Everything comes down to the brain. So same way in the organization, all the departments function separately, but at the end of the day, it's always the organization which works. So the cultural codes binds the organization together, and so this is accompanied by one cultural code. Second is network design of the organization structure and designing the tasks, right? So hope it's clear to you all. Then we come down to having the ability to learning to learn. So basically it's a learning organization. So what when we talk about brain is all about learning. It helps you understand things, right? Then it's about the organization as cultures. Friends, culture is something which binds a family, culture is something which binds the nations, culture is something which binds the society. So when we are talking about an organization, it is all about the human beings, and all human beings are bound together by a single thread, and that is known as culture. So where what do you understand by culture? So culture is something which has common beliefs, ideologies, rituals, values, and shared assumptions. So organizational culture can be described as a socially constructed, unseen, and unobservable force behind any organization activity. It provides organization members with a way of understanding and making sense of events and symbols. So it is, you can say, it is a powerful lever for guiding organizational behavior by informally approving or prohibiting some patterns of behavior, right? So अगर आप किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में जाते हैं, एंटर करते हैं, आप उसका उस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का कल्चर बहुत आसानी से पता कर सकते हैं। कैसे? आप उनके यहाँ जाएंगे, आप द मोमेंट यू एंटर यू विल सी सर्टेन थिंग्स वेयर यू कैन फील द काइंड ऑफ पीपल, द ड्रेस कोड्स, द the language, the behavior which is seen, the ceremonies and everything. You can see a surface, you can see the surface behavior in that, wherein you can easily find out as to what kind of a culture this company is following. Same way, if you go to anybody's house, you can easily identify the culture they follow. So the what is the biggest strength in this metaphor is it goes well beneath the surface to try to uncover some of the less obvious features. And limitation is not the cultures differ in their strength, but also everybody in the same organization does not belong to the same culture. Then you come on to the organizations as political systems. पॉलिटिक्स जैसे हम सुनते हैं, हमें सबसे पहले कॉर्पोरेट याद आता है और साथ में हमारी नेशनल पॉलिटिक्स याद आती है. So when we talk about the organization's political system, it is regarded as analog to the political system, composed of diverse groups, each having own aims and interests, and they it's basically we draw parallels between how organizations are run and systems of political rule. So according to Morgan, business and politics cannot be kept apart. So this metaphor is useful as it recognizes the important role that a power play, competing interests, and conflict have in organizational life. So it is also recognizes the complex nature of the human behavior in the organization. तो सबसे बड़ा हमारे इसमें एडवांटेज क्या है कि it brings people together. Second, the biggest disadvantage of using this metaphor to the exclusion of others is it leads to unnecessary development of the complex Machiavellian strategies. So this can turn organizational life into a political war zone. So the political metaphor also neglects the idea of circumstances arise, then there is a potential for cooperation. Then organization as a psychic person. What do you understand by organization as psychic presence? So basically it is based on an unconscious preoccupation of people in the organization with the notion that people can actually become imprisoned or trapped by the construction of reality, and the psychic mentality exists when people begin to hold on to their preconceived notion, right? So a phenomena that restricts group thinking is group think. अगर इसमें हम ये कह सकते हैं कि अगर ग्रुप थिंकिंग होती है तो उसमें शेयर्ड इल्यूजन्स होते हैं, इनवर्नेबिलिटी होती है, अनोनिमिटी होती है, सेल्फ अफर्मिंग प्रोसेस जो होता है वो प्रोड्यूस करता है कन्फॉर्मिटी which is a constructed reality and stereotyped out of groups and belief that inherent morality of one's own group. So this leads to faulty decision making and disastrous consequences for the organization. तो मैं जो बात कर रही थी आपसे ग्रुप थिंकिंग के बारे में। तो ग्रुप थिंकिंग क्या होती है, जब हम किसी चीज़ को एक बारी डिसाइड करते हैं तो हमारा सेल्फ अफर्मिंग प्रोसेस जो होता है कंफॉर्मिटी को, इट गिव्स राइज टू कंफॉर्मिटी एंड दैट बिकम्स अ कंस्ट्रक्टेड रियलिटी फॉर अ स्टीरियोटाइप्ड this thing, views of the group. So it becomes an inherent mortality of one's group to follow it. So this leads to a faulty decision making. The psychic prison metaphor encourages us to dig below the surface to explore the hidden meanings of our taken for granted world. So the psychic process metaphor is it alerts us to pathologies that may accompany our ways to thinking and encourage us to question fundamental premises on which we work on every day. So learning organizations or creating desirable organization culture if the human dimension is ignored, so it is pointless talking about these, right? Then we come on to organizational flux and transformation. Flux is the changes and the dynamism and transformation. So universe is a constant state of flux with accompanying characteristics of both change and permanence. इसमें इसके बारे में ये बात करते हैं कि इंस्टेड ऑफ बीइंग, अगर हम ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को एक पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से करते हैं तो एक सेपरेट सिस्टम मानते हैं, फिर उसको अडेप्ट करते हैं टू एन एनवायरनमेंट, तो ये मेटाफर अलाउ करता है ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को सिंपली अ पार्ट ऑफ द होल एनवायरनमेंट, दैट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इज अ पार्ट ऑफ एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन विद नेचुरल कैपेसिटी टू self renew, change and organize. So metaphor जो है, it sheds some light on how change happens as a turbulent world. Although managers can nudge and shape, see that now they're going to talk about what is a leader and what is a manager. So manager क्या कर सकता है, वो nudge कर सकता है, shape कर सकता है progress, but they can not ever be in control of the change. So such a metaphor is limiting, and unlike metaphors, it does not have any action plan to follow the change. So an order emerges as you go along and can only make sense of the after the event. This can lead to a sense of powerlessness that is disturbing but probably realistic. Then organization is instrument of domination. This addresses the ugly face of the organizational life, because अगर आप कॉर्पोरेट सेटअप में आपने काम किया और आप देख चुके हैं कि क्या वर्किंग होती क्या नहीं होती, तो उसमें एक डोमिनेशन, one is always dominant in terms of addressing the juniors. So Morgan in 2006 has said that the ugly face of organizational life, तो वो interest of elites, हम लोग हम when you're working, what do, you're working for the other people who is in a dominant position and can pay you, right? So when we are talking about the military, multinational corporation, even a family business, we find asymmetrical power relation that result in majority working for the interests of the minority. So the problem of hazardous working conditions, industrial accidents, occupational disease practices, and structures that promote the workaholism, sexual and mental stress are all examples of organization and tools of domination, which we are able to hear so much these days. So the metaphor provides a useful counterweight to traditional organization theory, which is largely ignored values of ideological um, largely ideological premises. So one of the major strengths of this domination is that forces to recognize that the domination may be intrinsic, or the way we organize just an unintended side effect. So friends, metaphors play a paradoxical role. They are vital to understanding and highlighting certain aspects of the organization जो